This week, we read from Parashat Beha'alotecha, a Torah portion that begins with the description of the lighting of the menorah, the candelabra that stood in the temple thousands of years ago. And it uses this unusual expression, Beha'alotecha, when you cause the light of the menorah to go up. You would expect it to say when you ignite the menorah, but instead it says when you cause the light to go up. And I'm going to get back to that a little bit later on in my remarks. But first I want to focus on the oil that's used in the menorah. And that's described back in the book of Exodus. It says it has to be pure olive oil, the highest quality of olive oil that one could find. And the Midrash, which was written about 1,500 years ago, rabbinic interpretations of the Torah, the Midrash compares the Jewish people to that pure olive oil in a way that, frankly, I find quite troubling. The Midrash says that just as this olive oil is superior to all other oils, so too are the Jewish people superior to all other nations. And it goes on to say that just as when you mix oil with other liquids, the oil rises to the top, well, so too, when you mix Jews with others, Jews rise to the top. It's a troubling text because it suggests that we are simply better than other people and that our needs and our concerns, our worries and our traumas are more important than those of others. But I want to compare and contrast that troubling text with another text from our tradition. It's one I love to quote. It's Maimonides' interpretation of the text at the very heart of our Torah, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, a text that other sages, including Rabbi Akiva, have said are absolutely central to our understanding of the core, the essence of our Judaism, to love our neighbor as ourself. And how does Maimonides interpret that? He says to love your neighbor as yourself is to want for your neighbor what you want for yourself. The same things that you desire for yourself, you should desire it for your neighbor. And the reverse, of course, is true as well. The things you don't want for yourself, you shouldn't wish that on your neighbor. And so this text from Maimonides is in tension with this text from the Midrash that suggests that since we're better than others, perhaps only our concerns and only our needs are the ones we should worry about. And sometimes we feel this tension, if we're honest, inside of ourselves as well. We think about the world sometimes through the prism of, is it good for the Jews or not, as the sole way that we look at any issue. When we know that if we're going to take Maimonides' teaching seriously, it can't be the only way we see the world. We have to also think about the needs of others, their concerns, their desires, their dignity. We have to, if we are going to live out the text at the core of our tradition, love your neighbor as yourself. And this is a moment especially to be thinking about that. We're in the midst of Pride Month, the month of June. And so we think especially about our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters and their dignity and their needs and their desires and their aspirations to be treated equally. And we think especially because of the events of these last few weeks about our Black and brown sisters and brothers and their dignity and their trauma and their needs and their concerns. And we ask ourselves how we can be better allies, how we can be better friends, how we can be better neighbors so that we can live out that value of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. And we know this conversation, especially about racism, this isn't just a conversation in the last couple of weeks or the last couple of years or the last couple of decades. It's the last couple of centuries in this country, and we can and we must do better. Another thing to remember, of course, is that when we serve others, when we are better neighbors, when we are better allies, well, it's quite likely that those folks will be there for us as well. They'll be there to stand with us when we experience those moments of pain and of trauma. And so now I want to go back to the name of the parasha, Beha'alotecha. And here's what I want to suggest to you, that when we live in the world in this way, when we care deeply about others, when we understand that imperative to love your neighbor as yourself as central to our being as Jews, we cause the light to go up. And instead of diminishing our own light, we magnify our own light, because we know that metaphor of the candle is so powerful in this regard. We can use our candle to light others without in any way causing our light to dim. May we have the strength and the courage to love our neighbor as ourselves with that kind of depth, so that we can cause the light to go up in ourselves and in our world.
Let us pause in life's pleasure and count its many tears, while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
While we seek mirth and beauty and music light and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times come again no more. Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more.
Many days you have lingered around my cabin door.